Gran Dalton, director general de la Copa Amèrica. Bon dia, good morning.
Good morning.
Per què Barcelona?
It's a jewel in the Mediterranean. It's got great sailing and it's got a great atmosphere. I often get asked that question, why? But I almost ask the other way, why not? I mean, it's the perfect location.
No sé quina nota li podem posar de moment, quina avaluació en fa.
So if you say 10's impossible and one's a disaster, I think we're at about an 8.5 or a 9 now because all the facilities are in place, the host entities are all aligned, the teams seem happy, and now we can start to look to the racing. And once you get to the racing part, then that's what we live for.
Al 92, molta gent es va sentir les Olimpiades com a pròpies, no? I com es pot fer perquè això es repeteixi?
Yeah, it's a good point because a legacy or how we'll be judged, one of the ways we'll be judged is whether we've been successful in engaging the population of Barcelona. If you go back 2 years, that probably engagement was near zero because nobody knew about the America's Cup. There was a poll that came out just last week, and the simple question was, do you know about the America's Cup? And 77.5 of Barcelonians said yes, they did. So really the challenge is that hopefully we can turn that 77.5% into people that will come to the village, come to the waterfront, come to the beaches and enjoy, watch the screens.
La vela, jo crec que no es pot considerar, almenys aquí a Barcelona, com un esport popular, no? Fins a quin punt això és un repte, no? Perquè precisament la gent pugui gaudir d'aquesta copa.
We'll never compete against football. FC Barcelona here, for example. So there's an interesting fact. The most medals that Spain has ever won are in sailing. And most people don't realise that. We took the America's Cup on a tour down the coast. Brought it from New Zealand, took it down to different yacht clubs. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing how successful that was and how engaged the coast and the yacht clubs are in teaching children to sail, girls and boys. But the more we can encourage people to, after we've left, say, become part of the legacy, go to a club, try sailing, go out on the water. Barcelona, since the Olympics, has sort of stepped inward again. And we're hoping that the America's Cup will help people to look outward again into what is out here in front of us, the Mediterranean.
Fa uns mesos en una entrevista deia que passi el que passi sempre hi ha gent en contra de determinats esdeveniments, no? I que per tant ja hi comptava. Però li preocupa que hi hagi gent a Barcelona, veïns que hi puguin estar en contra?
It's not just America's Cup, it's Formula One, it's capitalism, it's over-tourism. And of course, people have got absolutely every right. And I have some sympathy with some of these views too. When protest turns into vandalism, I think that's when you cross the line. And we've had instances where boats have been painted. The other thing is if you protest against the top of a sport, you actually hurt the part that we're trying to foster, which is the lower part of the sport. Because unless you have things like the America's Cup, you have no aspirational pathway for children that want to start sailing.
I com s'ha de treballar amb veïns? Per exemple, penso en el barri de la Barceloneta, no? Que pateixen ja i s'han queixat moltes vegades pel nombre de turistes que reben. Com s'ha de treballar perquè es puguin sentir part d'alguna manera d'aquesta competició?
Barcelona is a great example because we're totally engaged with them and go to their public meetings. Mm-hmm. In fact, we have a great relationship with the fishermen. So part of it's educating what the America's Cup is. It's not going to turn the dial to another X number of million tourists that arrive. What it will do is it will change the dial slightly on the type of tourism. So, we know that a lot of tourists only come for a very short period of time, put a big strain on the infrastructure. Your typical America's Cup tourist, he comes for 8 days, maybe 10 days, because he's come to watch the competition.
Si guanya l'equip de Nova Zelanda, us quedareu a Barcelona?
I think if you were to ask any team, including my own team, they'd say they'd love to stay. However, we've got to look at the commercial side of it. We've got to win. That's really all I'm focused on at the moment is winning. But if the commercial side of it stacked up, then there's no reason you wouldn't stay.
Hi ha molta tecnologia, no?, en aquests barcos.
Yeah, there is. And that's kind of one of the fascinating things for the people that compete, that it's not like the Olympics where the boats are all the same. These are, to give it perspective, our team is about 120 people. Mm-hmm. Only 12 of those people will ever sail on the boat. Over 100 people are involved in the design, the engineering, the physics, the mathematics, the systems on board the boat, the sails, aerodynamics, hydrodynamics, and building. the boat and maintaining the boat. People think of it as they think of us as a sailing team, and ultimately we go sailing, but we're more a technology organisation that happens to go sailing.
Com li agradaria que fos recordada aquesta edició de la Copa Amèrica?
I want it to be remembered with legacy. So to me, a legacy is probably on about 3 levels. One, that there is an increase in people children along the coast going to yacht clubs and getting involved in the sport. Number 2, that the legacy of the volunteers carries what we've done here for the years to come. Number 3, that the changes in the waterfront and in the city have been brought forward more than they would have by the council and by the Generalitat and by the port, and they remain a legacy forever.
Gran Dalton, ho dèiem, director general de la Copa Amèrica. Gràcies per aquesta estoneta i molta sort a la competició.
Thanks very much. Thanks for the opportunity.